So, hello, lovely Esme. I am so excited that you're just going to have a little chat with me and tell me about your experience as an accredited, so congratulations, Akashic Record Practitioner with the Embodied Soul methodology. And I'm really excited that we're just going to have a little chat to talk a little bit about your experience. So, do you want to just share just briefly who you are and what you do? Because I know you love to play in the magic.
Yeah, so basically, at the moment, I'm setting up, or I have been setting up a community. So we have a small community that's focused on, it's basically authenticity. It's recognizing that we've all been taught really to follow rules and, yeah, the shoulds, I call them the shoulds. And it's helping people and we get quite disconnected from nature because we have all of these institutions that, funnel us through from cradle to grave. And actually what can happen is we can get quite disconnected from our true nature. So we're kind of using nature and connecting with nature through the cycles, the seasonal cycles, to help bring us back to ourselves, but also to point us in the direction of our soul, because obviously that's the deeper us that lives beyond the sort of programs and also beyond our own human preferences. So it's we're playing in that kind of magic. It's
Yeah.
quite fun.
Yes, and that's it. And a huge part of yours is about having fun and playfulness, isn't it? And that's how the profound silly wisdom idea came through, and that's what your community is called, isn't it?
Well, yeah, it's because it's recognizing that it's quite heavy. The systems that we grow up under, the cultural conditioning, the familial conditioning, it can feel quite oppressive, and a lot of us kind of lose our way. And so by coming back to nature, it sort of helps us to lighten up. As we shed this conditioning, you actually start to realize, oh, life doesn't have to be that serious. It's not actually that heavy. And as you connect and more to your authentic self more and more, obviously you realize, this heaviness was because you weren't connected. It was the disconnection that you were feeling that
Yeah,
kind of led you to that state. So
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So beautiful, beautiful. And so what, doing this work and really tapping into that wisdom and that profoundly silly wisdom and the joys of life and reconnecting back to nature, what was it that drew you to the Akashic Records? I think that's probably the question that most people want to know.
Well, it was accidental, like so many
Oh, I
things.
hear that often.
Yeah, yeah.
Accidentally fell.
So it was not on my radar at all, basically, because I mean, so just to put some context to this, I grew up in a very religious environment. So I had, again, more institutions, more shoulds. So that was my experience of spirituality, but I was always spiritual. And what happened over time is obviously I started to feel, well, I don't quite fit this template. And so I started asking questions. So I've been on a very long journey, so spanning decades, really. Um, and and part of that journey was also leaving the very programmed sort of high pressure world of work that I was in, so the sort of corporate world essentially. So I kind of had a moment where I realized I can't do this anymore because it's not me, but I didn't know who the real me was. So that was the beginning of that transition really into to where I am now. And so I sort of stumbled across first as a mentor. So recognizing, I'd been in this hermit's cave for about 2 years, I think, already before I met you, and I was starting to get, tuning into my intuition, get a sense of where this might be going. But I knew that I needed extra support around that. It can be very lonely doing this work on your own, and so it's through you as a mentor, creating that safe space for me to explore. How does this take shape in the physical world? Because I've been in this very internal spiritual world where I've tried everything under the sun in terms of spiritual practice. And then it's through that course, through the mentorship, you actually gave me the course as part of that, which thank you very much. As part
Well,
of that
well, you were
mentoring
working with me for
experience.
a whole year, so that's
Yeah, yeah. So you
a
gifted me
bonus
that
to
course,
that.
and it just piqued my curiosity. I thought, okay, so I just had a sneaky look inside, and then before I knew it, I was well underway, and I was ploughing through all of the lessons and going for full accreditation. So yeah, like I say, I had some I had some idea of the Akashic Records, through other practitioners, but what I liked about your course is that you made it accessible. It always felt it felt very ethereal and hard to grasp.
Oh,
Um, and you, in your course, you made it very accessible. Because it's, you tune into the Akashic in quite an embodied way. It's an embodied intuition. So I didn't feel like I need to float out of myself in order to access this information. I was able to use, because I've been tuning into, I needed to come back into my body, frankly. I'd been floating around for decades. Yeah, that's how I sort of came across your Akashic teaching, because why it gripped me, because it just felt so doable.
yeah.
It was done in manageable chunks as well.
That's great, because that's really good to hear, because I think that so many people I hear who have done so many different courses, courses after courses, have got the accreditation after accreditation, and still not really using it, or still don't fully embody that work. And I wonder what this particular course, because you dived straight in, because I was
Oh yeah,
like,
you saw me. I
you
was
had it
going through
available
like
for you. It's like, I wonder what really was the moment for you that you really sort of um recognized that you could do that you could bring this, and you could work with this modality with other people.
Well, I think so the embodiment piece is really important, because before that, I'd been in this hermit's cave of exploring everything and, finding out what's true, finding how do I make contact with my intuition? How do I contact my own
Yeah.
soul in order to work out what to do next? Um, and I'd realized, but I do want to live in the physical reality as well.
Oh,
I want to do something, I want to achieve something in
yeah.
life as well. So I don't just want to get stuck in this cave,
Yeah.
fascinating as it's been. Um, and so I realized I needed grounding. And so I'd already started that process of grounding, and I was doing it connecting to lunar phases, which we also do in our community, the seasons,
Mhm.
seasonal wisdom. So shamanic type stuff, all of that was capturing my attention, not from a theoretical place, but because it was bringing me back into my body. And that's what I got in your course, because I had been learning to tune into my intuition, and I realized, I think before then I had the sense that intuition was just visionary, what you might describe as visionary intuition, which is the dreams and the really sort of intangible stuff, the symbolic stuff, which is, that is part of intuition, but
Yeah.
it's not the whole picture. And so what I was starting to connect with in your course is that sense of, that embodied sense of yes or no, that following of the energy, that sensing within your, using your body as a receiver and a transmitter. And that was the piece that I really, that really made it practical for me. And then it enabled me then to incorporate it into what I was already doing, because I'd already started doing one-to-one sessions. I work with the tarot, which is very symbolic. I work with the tarot, but also I do some energy clearing, because I think we need both. We need to understand with our minds what's going on, but we also need to clear things that are getting in the way, the blocks.
Yeah.
Those beliefs have an energetic kind of imprint in our field, and so it's also learning to work with that. And that's where I connected with your information, because you're very aware of the energy,
Yeah.
but from a practical point of view of, okay, but how do we clear it, so I could then incorporate, and that's what I also loved about what you taught in the course, because you weren't saying this is the answer, I've got the answer, I'm doing it the right way, you need to follow it exactly as I'm doing it. But it's actually, no, take this and fit it into what you're already doing. And so it therefore just kind of, over time, it kind of worked its way into what I was already doing. So I don't work as an Akashic practitioner in the pure sense.
Yeah.
I actually have incorporated that in Akashic aspects. So working with past life energies, for example, also the soul archetypes that you talk about in the course. I incorporate that into the work that I was already doing.
Yeah. And that's the beauty, and that's what I hear so much from people, is that, they're blending this work into their own magic and what they're already doing. Because it's such an important element of it. There is no right and wrong way to access the Akashic Records, and it's about creating it. I believe this so strongly that it's about creating our own unique pathway through it and knowing who we are, because how you share it, how you experience it, how you explain it, it's going to be different. It's all coming from the same energetics, the same energy, but there will be people that will resonate more with you, and there'll be people that resonate with more with me, and other practitioners that of because they bring their own unique magic to it. And I think that that's such an important element, and that's what I hear so much from practitioners. It's like they get the permission to go do it themselves.
Well, and
Obviously,
the other thing, yeah, the other thing that came through in the course is because it's not, you're not just there working in isolation. Again, remember, I've been in the hermit's cave for a long time, so other humans, so there are other humans there also doing the work, and they're all very different. They all have, like you say, very different modalities. Some of them are doing the more traditional kind of Akashic sort of work and focusing mainly on that. Others are kind of doing all kinds of things, and so it was good to be exposed to other people. Again, it wasn't in an intrusive way. You didn't feel, you could connect with people if you wanted to, but if you're in your own bubble, you can just continue. But just having examples, seeing other people implementing and learning, and integrating it into their own experience as well, into their own way of working, was really helpful. Yeah.
yeah, that's great. And that's why I set up the community alongside the course, is because, we're all walking our own journey, and we only really know that we're sort of working within our own magic when we see other people working in their own magic and go, oh, they're doing that and that's working for them, and I'm doing this, or someone else is doing it differently. And we get to experience that, and we get to broaden our horizons of what's possible. I think that's also an
Mm,
important thing, that it's not just fixed. So one of the other things that really sort of the hesitations that I get is that people think, well, I don't know that I can connect to it. I haven't got the special gift. And I was just wondering, what hesitations did you have about diving into the course and working with me as a mentor is one thing, doing a course and becoming accredited is something completely different. So yeah, I'm just wondering if you had any hesitations about.
well, I didn't really have, because of the way it worked for me, I just got, my curiosity got piqued, and then I was just like straight in. So I didn't have time to have hesitations almost. But I would say my hesitations came sort of earlier in my experience, when maybe in that, well, early on in your spirituality, when, because we're so conditioned, again, coming back to the programming and the shoulds, we're so conditioned to see things in a hierarchical, linear way, and the more time you put into something, the more and there can be some element of truth to that, but really what I would say is it's more about learning who you are, and becoming aware of your processes. My hesitations, were the same as anyone else's, and that it's like, oh, if you're trying to fit yourself to working like someone else, because we often have that assumption, because we're so used to having to model what the teacher's doing, just we're doing it by rote learning, we're copying. My hesitation would be, well, can I do it that way? But you weren't even bringing that to the table. You were actively encouraging us to find our own way, but at the same time giving us a structure to follow. So it was the best of both worlds in that sense, because you've got a very clear structure and a path to follow. So it kind of regulates your nervous system. You're not like thrown into this field and it's like, okay, just do what you do. And it's like, oh, I don't know what I do yet. You've got a path to follow, but it's spacious, and all the while you're bringing, helping us to learn what we need to know, but then encouraging us to embody it and experiment and find our own way, but without pressure. So yeah, I think you really help people with those sort of initial hesitations anyway. You really are very gentle in the way you bring people through. So yeah.
Yeah, because it can be, as you say, it can be lonely, it can be quite confusing, and we don't know what we're doing. And it's really, that's where we really build that muscle of trust in our gifts, is by taking a small step, taking a small step, taking a small step. And so for me, it really is about holding someone's hand and like, I've got you for the next step. Let's just see and take a peek and what's there. And
But
that's
also,
the same.
you give people space to ask questions because you've got that group. So again, if you're the sort of person like you're just there, you're focused, you're on it, you don't want to be interacting because you might find that distracting. That's great. But if you need a little, not hand holding, but even just asking a question, oh, I'm not sure about this, or I'm struggling with that, you've got the group there, and you're very good at sort of answering those questions. And not just you, but people will pitch in from the group as well, so you get different perspectives.
Yeah.
Mm.
Oh, well, that's great to hear. It's really been the biggest joy to be able to share this gift with others and to watch them flourish and watch them sprinkle and share their magic out in the world. What do you think is a final little question? What do you think is your biggest takeaway for you and your business and what it's given you?
Biggest takeaway. Do you know what? I still feel like, I mean, I still feel like I'm working out the answer to that question because it feels more like a seed that's been sown, and it's germinated, it's taken, it's sprouted, it's grown. And so I felt like you took it to that stage, and now I'm just like, I'm working out what this is becoming. So I still have that sense of this is developing, this is not fixed. Um, yeah, because I'm my modality, my sort of, I call it energy alchemy. My clearing is my way of working with energy, clearing energy is still developing.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I can't, I genuinely cannot answer that question because I feel like what you've given me is going to develop over the course of my
Yeah.
lifetime, essentially.
Yeah. So what I'm really hearing there, it's not just like, hey, do this course, get accredited, and then you've got this and that's it. It's like something,
Yeah,
it's a lifelong tool, resource, ability, signposting that you get to tap into and play with and to incorporate in the ways that develop as you develop.
yeah, exactly.
Mm.
Yeah, because it's bigger than you. And I think you've always been honest about that. You've never been proprietary in your handling of this information. This is my course, and you better do it the way I say, and you better credit me as all that stuff. Uh, it's really been you've always been is the sense of you being a steward of that creative intelligence. And
That's
so I think what I did is I just opened and I received that, and now I feel like it's flowing through me as well. And it's like I've said to you before anyway. I said, let's see, and especially with the soul archetypes, which obviously we don't have time to cover now, probably, but with that aspect of the course, I said, let's just see what happens with those, because I know that for me personally, there is more to come with that.
yeah,
So yeah,
yeah,
it's an ongoing thing because we're stewarding this together, and that's also what I like about it. It's not this typical kind of, you don't put the business first. There's no ego there. It's actually about genuinely desiring to connect people to their soul and to live as their soul. And because we have that in common, that's also my biggest desire. I just feel like, yeah, we're just going to see what happens
yeah,
over time. And as more and more people do
yeah.
do this work, who knows what's going to happen?
Who knows? The more of us that say yes and sprinkle our light, and that's why the teaching people how to do past life readings is one element, but the other element is so much about really understanding who we are at soul level and the
Mm,
gifts that we bring, and so we can shine in our uniqueness. And as you say, stop conforming into the structures and the boxes that everyone else has dictated, and start creating our own pathway of how we want to live and how we want to show up. That's reflective of our unique light and our unique soul frequency. So beautiful. Thank you. Is there one parting last thing you'd like to share with anyone who might be hesitating or ready to join, who's just looking for that last piece of wisdom maybe from you? You have a lot.
oh gosh, no pressure. I would just say tune in, put your hand on your heart. Put your hand on your heart, put your hand on your belly. Those are the two places where, the belly is where we connect to our natural preferences as a physical body, with physical experiences over time, And then our heart is where we connect to our soul, to what really matters to us at the deeper level, the level of a soul that's traversing, you
Yeah.
know, infinity and having all of these amazing adventures. Put your hand on those two places, breathe, and just ask the question: is this right for me right now? Always that's where you want to go, isn't it? That's where you want the answer to come from.
I love that. Full body, yes. Full heart and mind and body and creative energy, yes. So thank you. There's a beautiful piece of wisdom from you, Esme. Thank you. Just very lastly, where can people find you if they want to reach out and find out a little bit more about profoundly silly wisdom?
I would say probably the easiest is just go to my website, so profoundlysillywisdom.com. Yeah, so you can sign up there for the newsletter. You'll see at the moment it's focusing mainly on my one-to-one work, but actually at the bottom where you can sign up, you can be invited to our community gatherings as well. So yeah.
Yeah, your powerful, beautiful community gatherings. Thank you, Esme. I really appreciate your time and sharing your experience of the course and helping others to make a decision. If anyone is interested in knowing a little bit more about it, please message me directly, send me a DM, or if you're watching this on certain channels, please comment Embodied Soul and you will get the link to it, and reach out and let me know what your questions are, and I'd be happy to answer them as always. Thank you, Esme. I will see you
Thank
soon.
you.
Lots of
Thank
love.
you.
Bye for now.
Bye.